Hi, and welcome to this live reading from Crossfire, Into the Kaos series by Nesa Miller, and this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Chapter 1. A Girl Runs. Blood stained the night with its rich, dark hue and tainted the air with its metallic stench. The steel of a sweeping blade flashed in the car headlights, blinding her for a moment. She raised her hand to block the glare, but wished she had instead ducked behind the front seat and covered her ears, her mother's screams piercing the night. The blood of her parents sprayed across the hood of the car and dotted the windshield. They reached for one another as their bodies slid apart in pieces before death separated them forever. Fixated on the gore, she froze. Her big brother dragged her from the car's back seat. "Look at me!" He squeezed her arms until she turned her head and stared into his green eyes. "Run!" Too scared to argue or even think, she ran. The dark didn't matter, neither did the rain. Her only thought was to get as far away from the horror as fast as possible. She dared to glance over her shoulder and saw her brother coming round the car. It gave her the courage to dash across the road and dive into a tangled mass of shrubs. Between the tears and the darkness, she could hardly see the branches slapping her face and yanking her hair. The earth shook beneath her. Frantically pushing the hair from her face, she caught the red glow of two beady eyes, followed by the rasp of foul breath. The combination amplified an indescribable stink. Her brother was nowhere to be seen, but his command blazed through her mind. Run. Stupid shoes she'd worn made it impossible to get traction on the rain-slicked ground. Man, why didn't I wear my boots? The brutal darkness grew claws of its own as she struggled to get out of the shrubs, ripping her dress. She'd chosen it because of the daisy print. Her favorite flower, and the style made her feel older, even though her brother said she looked more like 12 than 14. It didn't matter what he said. The smile on her dad's face made it worthwhile. Not that she would have admitted it to anyone, especially her mom, who constantly nagged her about her usual jeans and t-shirt. Jeans would have been the better choice tonight. The scratches on her legs stung and the lines of blood tickled. Whatever lay ahead scared the hell out of her, but it had to be better than what pursued her. Freed from the shrubs, she lost a shoe, kicked off the other, and burst from the trees into the city lights. The wet, empty streets reflected the monotonous red, yellow, green flickers of traffic lights. No less alien, but she could see. Where did everyone go? It was busy when we went to supper. A muffled step on wet earth transitioned to a firm stride on solid asphalt. Whatever it was had caught up to her. Holy shit. Oh, damn. Sorry, Mom. The reality of the night sank in. Mom, gone forever. Dad. Stop it. Get a grip, Etain. She needed to hide, give herself time to think, and come up with a plan. Plan? Plan what? A black alley seemed perfect until the disgusting smell of a trash bin hit her in the face. Ugh. Breathing through her mouth, she pulled the neckline of her dress over her nose. Fabric filtered the air somewhat, but restricted her ability to look over her shoulder. And she had to look. She had to make sure the red-eyed devil hadn't followed her. Distracted by her efforts, the dork in her walked straight into a brick wall. Oof. Flat on her back, she shivered despite the warmth rising from the asphalt. The thud of his footsteps killed her desire to cry. She clamped a hand over her mouth to make sure no sound escaped. A man's voice spoke to her in her head. His manner of speaking told her he wasn't what hunted her. He sounded kind and gentle, and his speech was formal as though he was from a different time. Way too fancy for a red-eyed monster. He urged her to breathe and calm her heart. You must move, little one. The shadows will prove a safe haven. He was right, but fear had her in its grip. She couldn't move. Then came her brother's voice. Don't worry about it, little bit. I guess wimping out's your right, being the baby of the family. And he laughed. I'll show you what a baby can do. Despite the shivers, she rolled onto her side, pushed up onto hands and knees, and crawled into a dark doorway. Heavy steps rumbled past. The dark figure reeked worse than the trash and growled strange words she didn't understand, but the tone left no doubt of their intent. She hugged her knees to her chest, eyes squeezed shut, held her breath, and waited for the touch of smelly fingers. Between the drum of her heart and the smell of her sweat, it was only a matter of time before he found her. The night was quiet. No monster feet shook the ground. No raspy wheeze contaminated the air. The warm breath she'd been holding whooshed out. Shit. Sucking in a lungful of air, there was a lingering stench, but it was lighter than before. She laid her head back against the brick wall and released the tension she'd held on to since the nightmare had started. Reality soon crept in and hit hard. Tremors shook her to the core. Hot tears flowed down her cheeks, mourning the loss of her family, her mom, her dad, and her brother. Why? Why my family? What purpose did their deaths serve? She prayed the soothing voice would return and tell her what to do. Where are you, Angel? As if in answer, a soft glow filled the alley. She wiped her tears and peered around the corner of the doorway. A bright orb glowed, suspended just above the ground. Its silver light sparkled and danced, inviting her to come closer. Crouched beside the orb, images of home drifted through her mind. A home where the love of her family protected her from the wiles of the world. The warm silver blaze enveloped her. Bit by bit, her fear faded, replaced by a sense of purpose and the knowledge her life would never be the same. The mud and muck lifted from her skin. Power pulsed through her awkward limbs as her girlish figure transformed into womanly curves and stretched to new heights. The ruined dress fell away, replaced by black leather that fit like a second skin and knee-high black lace-up boots with rubber soles to die for. As she stood, movement from the corner of her eye made her drop into a crouch, afraid of the monster's return. Please don't see me. She peered over one shoulder and the other. Nothing sounded in the alleyway. Assured she was alone, she came to her feet and caught her reflection in the window pane. A nervous laugh slipped out. You're such a goober, Etain. The orb hovered above her head, casting a shimmering light. Is that me? Fingers traced the outline of the woman she'd become, marveling at the contrast of silver hair against black leather accentuating an audacious body. I have boobs. Delighted by the prospect, a new thought came to her. Could Dad's stories of the Alamir be true? Tales spoken only when her mom wasn't around. Stories of warriors who lived in the dimension between humans and demons, and worse. I wonder if what pursued me was the worse. The orb quietly burst and showered her with sparkling stars. She smiled, something she thought she would never do again, soon faded at the realization of what lay ahead. Would the nightmare evaporate by morning? If it turned out to be real, could she do what was required of an Alamir? I'm not ready. I'm not prepared. But revenge burned in her heart and strengthened her resolve. With or without my angel, I will learn how to fight. My family will be avenged.